My bride ran away on our wedding day, so I turned around and married her mother. If I can't be your husband, I'll be your new dad. When she came back and saw me still in her house, she thought I was shamelessly refusing to leave. She pulled a clean-cut pretty boy out from behind her, declaring he was her true love, and told me to give up my delusions. I smiled faintly, clasping the hand of the woman beside me. Daughter, son-in-law, why don't you start by calling me Dad? I am the heir to the Miller Group. Today was supposed to be my wedding day with the Sterling family heiress, but the bride who should have been at the ceremony was nowhere to be found. Are you saying Sarah Sterling ran off? My voice was ice cold. That's what we hear. The maid trembled as she spoke. My parents were furious too. The Miller and Sterling families had been preparing for this wedding for months. Invitations had gone out to all the major prominent families in New York City, and the media was buzzing with coverage. If Sarah had any objections to this wedding, she could have raised them at any time during this period. To pull a runaway bride stunt on the wedding day itself was a public slap in the face to the Miller family. After calming me down, my parents hurried off to discuss countermeasures. Just as I was huddled in a corner, wondering how this wedding feast could possibly proceed, a commotion erupted at the entrance. I instinctively looked up, and my eyes fell upon a woman in a black suit with a stunningly beautiful face. This was Victoria Sterling, the current head of the Sterling family and Sarah's adoptive mother. At 35, she still looked like she was in her early 20s. Victoria rarely attended large gatherings. Even I had only seen her a handful of times. The moment this woman appeared, people from every family at the banquet rushed forward to greet her. Gazing at Victoria's exquisite face, a crazy idea suddenly popped into my head. I watched as Victoria politely declined each person before striding towards me. Ms. Sterling. I managed a polite smile, though my voice held a hint of grievance. In the next second, Victoria's voice, deep and pleasant like a cello, sounded. Mr. Miller, I apologize for the distress this has caused you. I've already sent people to retrieve her. Once she's caught, you can deal with her as you see fit. I will explain everything to the guests. The wedding will be postponed, and the Sterling family will bear all costs incurred. It was indeed a perfect solution, but I now had a better option. Ms. Sterling, I've been engaged to the Sterling family since childhood, but the bride doesn't necessarily have to be Sarah, right? What? The situation had changed too quickly. Victoria didn't react immediately. When she did, her gaze deepened. Of course. Who did you have in mind? I offered a sweet smile and, without hesitation, extended my hand towards Victoria. Will you be my bride? Although Victoria was Sarah's adoptive mother, she wasn't her biological mother. In fact, Victoria had never actually married. Rumor had it that at 25, she adopted a child from a distant branch of the family. That child was Sarah. Victoria flashed a radiant smile, raising an eyebrow. Are you sure? Absolutely. I didn't hesitate. Compared to Sarah, her mother Victoria was infinitely more attractive. Just looking at her gorgeous face every day would be soothing. Much better than being cheated on behind my back by that ugly brat Sarah. Victoria looked at me steadily. All right. Her cool, fair hand grasped mine tightly, sending a jolt through my heart. The wedding simply swapped protagonists. We didn't even need to change outfits. The elegant white wedding dress looked as if it were custom-made for Victoria. The two of us looked so well-matched, as if we were meant to be the bride and groom all along. Everyone attending the wedding banquet was sharp. Sarah's escape had been too sudden, and with no deliberate attempt to hide it, most guests were aware of what had happened. Reporters, smelling a juicy story, eagerly raised their cameras towards the stage, waiting to capture the drama between two of New York's wealthiest families. Seeing me lead Victoria onto the stage, many jaws dropped. They had to admit the direct bride swap was quite something. The officiant, holding a newly printed script, professionally introduced the groom and bride. Will the groom and bride please exchange rings? Victoria took out a ring and placed it on my finger. I took out the other ring for her. As I slipped the ring onto Victoria's finger, I realized it didn't fit properly and my eyes showed regret. This ring was sized for Sarah. Time was too tight to have a new one made. Luckily, it could just barely be worn. After the ring exchange came the groom kissing the bride. I couldn't help feeling nervous. Victoria was known for her propriety. The few times she attended events, she never even had a male companion. Would she be willing? I started regretting dragging Victoria into this on a whim. Just as my mind was racing, I suddenly felt a soft touch on my lips. I opened my eyes in disbelief, met by the sight of Victoria's flawless face. Seeming to sense my shock, Victoria placed a hand on the back of my head and deepened the kiss. I slowly closed my eyes, the sound of the guests' congratulatory applause filling my ears. My parents weren't aware of my sudden decision, but faced with the congratulations from those around them, they could only smile and play along. They couldn't very well embarrass their own son in public. During the toasts, Mom pulled me into a private room. Dad was there too. She locked the door. "Son, what is going on? How did you suddenly end up with Victoria?" "Because she's beautiful." I didn't quite know how to explain my impulsive act. Beautiful? My mom thought about Victoria's face. Yes, she was indeed quite beautiful. But she's over 10 years older than you. She was practically finishing elementary school when you were born. What's the big deal? Don't they say mature women know how to take care of someone? I said brazenly. But Mom still frowned, unconvinced. Just as I was racking my brain for an excuse, there was a knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Mom opened the door to find Victoria standing there. It wasn't clear if she had just arrived or had been waiting for a while. My parents quickly put on gracious smiles, as if they hadn't just been questioning her suitability. "Miss Sterling, is there something we can help you with? I have a few things I'd like to discuss with Mr. and Mrs. Miller." I don't know what Victoria discussed with my parents, but in a short time, they not only stopped opposing the marriage but became quite supportive of Victoria. Victoria is good, capable, and resourceful. Dad acknowledged Victoria's abilities. Although the age gap was significant, a woman like her was mature, stable, and caring. Someone like Sarah, who would run away at the last minute, wasn't worthy of his son. After the wedding, I moved directly into the Sterling family's large villa. This was Victoria's private residence, and it was my first time here. The interior decoration was minimalist, summarized by black, white, and gray. After a long day of socializing, she was sticky with the smell of alcohol and sweat, so Victoria went to freshen up first. I sat on the sofa to rest. The sound of rushing water came from the bathroom. Through the frosted glass, I could vaguely see the silhouette inside. I felt a little embarrassed and swallowed nervously. After a while, the water stopped, and I instinctively looked up. Victoria emerged from the bathroom, wearing a bathrobe. The open collar hinted at the depths beneath, and her long, slender, fair legs were exposed. I was momentarily stunned. I hadn't realized she maintained her figure so well. Seeing me staring straight at her, a faint smile played on Victoria's lips. "Ethan, why don't you go take a shower too?" Her deep, magnetic voice sounded. Realizing I'd been caught staring, I scrambled into the bathroom, stripped off my clothes, and let the water wash over me. Victoria's voice calling me Ethan still echoed in my ears. Why hadn't I noticed how captivating she was before? After showering, I suddenly remembered I hadn't brought my clothes in. Helpless, I carefully opened the bathroom door just a crack, revealing half my face. Victoria, I forgot my clothes. Could you please hand them to me? They're in that bag on the sofa. Just hand me the whole bag." There was no response from outside for a moment. I wondered if Victoria had left. Just as I was about to ask again, a reply came, "Okay." Her pleasant voice had gained a hint of huskiness. Then came the sounds of movement and rustling plastic. Soon, Victoria arrived at the bathroom door. "Here." I cautiously opened the door a little wider, extending my arm. The clothes were placed in my hand. "Thanks." As I closed the bathroom door, my eyes accidentally met Victoria's. Those deep eyes seemed to burn with fire. Looking down at the underwear in my hand, my face turned completely red. I clearly asked her to hand me the whole bag. After dawdling in the bathroom for a long time, I eventually had to come out. Steeling myself, I pushed open the door and walked out. Victoria had already changed into her pajamas and was sitting on the bed, reading some documents. Seeing me emerge, she closed the file. Seeing no teasing expression on her face, I breathed a sigh of relief. Conveniently, I still had some serious matters to ask her about. What do you plan to do about Sarah? As if expecting the question, Victoria handed me the documents she had just been reading. Take a look. I walked over and took the file. It detailed the story of how Sarah met some boy, reminiscent of an old-fashioned melodrama about a rich heiress and a pretty boy. There was even a thoughtfully included photo of this pretty boy, truly a green tea type. Unbeknownst to me, these two had gone through cycles of dramatic breakups and reconciliations, until the night before, when the pretty boy learned Sarah was getting married and called her, crying. Sarah's heart softened. She regretted everything, abandoned her fiancé on the eve of the wedding, and ran off with her young lover. Wow, if I weren't the fiancé myself, I'd almost wish them well. But unfortunately, I was the unlucky fiancé. Damn it, why didn't these two sort this out earlier? The timeline in the file showed their melodrama had been going on for 2 months. Longer than the wedding preparations. If Sarah had given even the slightest hint, I wouldn't be this angry. Sarah has already taken her little boyfriend traveling abroad. I've sent people to bring her back. If you wish, our marriage doesn't have to be official, Victoria said calmly, sensing my anger and assuming I regretted it. After all, we hadn't gotten legally married yet, just held the ceremony. But how could I regret it? I'd thrown away trash and picked up a treasure. This was incredibly lucky for me. We are married. I am your husband now. We'll go get the marriage license tomorrow. I was very serious. Victoria saw the sincerity in my words and became serious too. Okay. Does your offer to let me deal with Sarah as I please still stand? I suddenly flashed a mischievous grin. As you wish. Excellent. I want you to freeze her credit cards. Without funds, let's see how comfortably Sarah and her little boyfriend can travel abroad. Victoria saw through my petty intentions but, instead of stopping me, fanned the flames. Starting today, I will seize all assets under her name. Little husband, what do you think? The sudden little husband caught me off guard for a second. I think that's great. Anything to make her life more miserable made me happier. After dealing with the scum woman, it was time for the next step. Let's get some rest then. Victoria seemed genuinely tired and reached over to turn off the light. The room plunged into darkness. I lay stiffly in bed, my heart pounding like a trapped deer. First time being married, still a bit unsure of the protocol. What happens next? Wedding night consummation? Just as I was contemplating whether to make a move, sleep. I won't touch you until you're ready. What? Shouldn't the guy usually say that? With a handsome man like me right beside her, could Victoria really resist? Question mark. Having just closed her eyes, Victoria opened them again. I realized I'd accidentally spoken my thoughts aloud and quickly pretended to be asleep. However, barely 2 seconds after closing my eyes, I felt a weight settle on top of me. Cool, jade-like hands rested on my chest, warm breath fanning my ear. Want to try? It turns out, you shouldn't provoke a mature woman who's been celibate for years, or you'll face the consequences. The next day when I woke up, the sun was already high in the sky. The space beside me was cool. Victoria was gone. Understandable, the big boss is busy. My stomach rumbled with hunger, so I went downstairs to find food. Surprisingly, Victoria was sitting at the dining table, reading a magazine. Little husband is awake. Did you rest well last night? Today, Victoria wasn't wearing a suit. She had on a simple white shirt, the collar slightly open, revealing faint marks underneath. Remembering yesterday, my face flushed again, but I retorted defiantly, "Slept very well, Vicky." Hearing this nickname, the smile on Victoria's lips widened. Looks like my little husband was very satisfied last night. That puts my mind at ease. Why do you have to add little before husband? What's little about me? Victoria's gaze swept down, then she patted my head. Not little at all. Look how worked up you got. I grumbled and sat down at the table. I'm hungry. Victoria smiled indulgently and went to the kitchen to bring out the food she'd kept warm. You just woke up. Shouldn't eat anything too greasy. Breakfast was simple. A plate of dumplings, 2 small side dishes, and a bowl of congee. I was starving and didn't fuss, eagerly grabbing a dumpling. My eyes instantly lit up. Delicious. So good. Who made these dumplings? Victoria smiled without speaking. A thought flashed through my mind. Don't tell me you made them. Victoria confirmed it with a light phrase. As long as it suits my husband's taste. I wanted to say something snarky, but they really were delicious. One must be honest. Seeing me eat happily, Victoria was also satisfied. It wasn't a waste of her efforts to specifically learn cooking. After lingering over breakfast, it was already quite late. I went upstairs to change. The decision to marry Victoria was too sudden, and I hadn't prepared beforehand. There were no men's clothes in the villa. The clothes I had were brought from home. Victoria frowned slightly, stepped out, and made a phone call. By the time she returned, I was ready. Let's go, Vicky. Okay. Today, Victoria wore a white shirt paired with light-colored jeans, looking like a fresh-faced college student. However, my face flushed as I looked at the collarbone revealed by her shirt opening, and the red mark below it. Are you going out like this? Is it not okay? Victoria asked, puzzled. I could only step forward, adjust her collar, then grab her arm and head out. With the fresh marriage certificate in hand, Victoria and I were truly husband and wife. Saying goodbye to single life like this felt a bit strange. But looking at the handsome man and beautiful woman in the wedding photo, TSK, what a perfect match. My taste is excellent. Sarah and that pretty boy went traveling abroad. With her cards cut off, they'd probably come crawling back within 2 days without money. I was now eagerly anticipating Sarah's return and seeing her reaction to me becoming her father. Victoria was very thoughtful. After getting the marriage certificate, we returned home to find the previously empty closet filled with all sorts of men's clothing, all brand name, current season styles. It was urgent, didn't have time for custom tailoring. Make do with these for now, Victoria said. Although many of these clothes were ones I already owned, I was still very touched by Victoria's gesture. Just as I predicted, with all her cards frozen, Sarah found it impossible to move abroad. As a conglomerate heiress, she never carried cash. Fortunately, the pretty boy beside her, named Leo, hadn't worked since getting together with Sarah and still had some savings. If it weren't for Leo, she probably wouldn't have even made it back. Leo's real name was Leo Evans. He put on a show, comforting Sarah. Sarah, don't worry. Maybe something happened. Let's buy tickets and go back to sea. Honey, thank you. Seeing Leo use his savings to buy tickets, Sarah was deeply moved. She vaguely guessed something about her cards being frozen. They were unlimited cards. Bank staff wouldn't dare freeze them casually. It must have been that woman Ethan Miller who said something. Anyway, the wedding was over. It was time to return. Leo had been by her side for so long. They truly loved each other. It was time to give him proper status. After all, she had even given him her first time. Thinking this, a happy smile appeared on Sarah's face. Once they returned, they would get married. Then she would take over the Sterling Corporation from Victoria, and no one could control her anymore. She could already envision her future happiness. So the two eagerly booked a flight back overnight. After a 7-hour flight, they arrived at the mansion around 8 in the morning. Sarah knew Victoria rarely stayed at the old family estate, so she headed straight for Victoria's villa. I was currently lounging lazily on the sofa watching TV, waiting for Victoria's breakfast. Having spent the past few days constantly with Victoria, I realized my initial impression of her being aloof and unapproachable was just a facade. She was clearly a siren, draining one's energy. To enjoy their private time, Victoria had even given the villa staff a short break, with only the cleaning lady coming every few days. Thus, preparing 3 meals a day fell to Victoria. Fortunately, Victoria seemed happy to do it. Every time she saw me eating with my cheeks puffed out, she'd playfully poke them. Just then, a mechanical voice sounded, "Master, someone is at the door." I shuffled in my slippers to check the security monitor outside. Seeing the travel-worn Sarah and Leo, I couldn't help raising an eyebrow. They were quick. "Your daughter's back." I walked into the kitchen, hugged Victoria from behind, and watched her perfectly fry a sunny-side-up egg. TSK, people are different. Deal with her as you please. Victoria didn't even lift her eyelids. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I left Sarah and the pretty boy waiting outside the gate, leisurely went upstairs to change, and only then opened the main gate. The villa was huge, the grounds extensive, It could almost be called a small estate. Previously, guests arrived by car, but unfortunately, the driver was also on leave, and I couldn't be bothered to drive out to pick them up. They'd have to walk in themselves. Sarah and Leo had rushed straight to the villa after landing, without even eating. Now they were hungry and thirsty but could only wait at the gate. Finally, the gate opened, but they had to rely on their own legs to get inside. This place is really big. Envy and jealousy flashed in Leo's eyes. Once we're married, I'll buy you one this big too, Sarah declared grandly. That must be very expensive, Sarah. It's not necessary. No matter where we live, just being with you makes me happy. What's the big deal? I'll buy you several villas in the future. You can rotate living in them. Despite her bravado, Sarah felt a little timid as she approached the main door. Growing up, Sarah hadn't paid much attention to her adoptive mother, Victoria. But after witnessing how Victoria dealt with disobedient people, she learned her lesson. As she grew older and understood Victoria's methods better, her respect turned into fear. However, Victoria rarely interfered in family matters, which was why Sarah dared to run off. She believed Victoria wouldn't meddle. Besides, as the sterling heiress, Victoria couldn't treat her like those other people. Buoyed by these thoughts, Sarah psyched herself up. Mom! She pushed open the door, but the person who greeted her wasn't Victoria, but someone unexpected. I offered Sarah a friendly smile from the doorway. Hello? What are you doing here? Sarah instinctively stepped back. Ah! She bumped into Leo standing behind her. Leo, caught off guard, got his foot stepped on hard but didn't dare make a sound despite the pain. Hearing Leo's cry, Sarah quickly turned to check on him. Are you okay, Leo? Sarah, I'm fine as long as you're okay, Leo said weakly, gritting his teeth. Sarah fussed over Leo right in front of me. Ethan Miller, I didn't expect you to be so malicious. What did I do? This is ridiculous. I haven't moved from this spot since the beginning. Don't try to frame me. Sarah realized her accusation was baseless and shifted her attack. I didn't expect you to be so shameless. Our wedding didn't even happen. How dare you live here? I don't like you, we have no future. This is my boyfriend, Leo. We're getting married soon. What gave you that impression? I was puzzled and speechless. Wow, this girl didn't even read the news reports from that day. But why would she think I'd cling to her? Have I ever pursued her excessively? Reviewing all my interactions with Sarah in my mind, I was certain. No. Is Sarah an idiot? Buddy, I know you and Sarah were engaged, but you didn't actually get married. Besides, Sarah and I truly love each other. Please, just let us be happy together. Leo had started his performance. A grown man sniffling and crying as if he'd suffered immense injustice. Sarah's heart ached for him, and she yelled at me, Ethan Miller, you've gone too far. What does this have to do with me? Damn, I can't keep up with these two's logic. Are they crazy? I said sympathetically. Did the mental hospital run out of space, letting you two run wild out here? Took Sarah a moment to react. You're the crazy one. Seeing the utter indifference on my face, Sarah began to doubt if I even liked her. But then she remembered where she was. This was the Sterling house, not the Miller house. If Ethan wasn't here for her, why else would he be here? He must be pretending, trying to get her attention. Sarah softened her tone slightly. Ethan, I have someone I love. There's no future for us. Apologize to my boyfriend immediately, and maybe we can still be friends later. Who wants to be friends with you? Stupidity is contagious. Just as I was about to retort, Victoria's voice came from behind me. What's wrong? Everyone turned simultaneously. Victoria was wearing a custom-made black shirt that outlined her perfect figure. Combined with her stunning face and ascetic aura, every move she made was captivating. Leo stared, slightly dazed. Mom, we're back. Why is this person here? Sarah eagerly asked Victoria. Victoria ignored her and waved towards me. Come eat. Since I was standing with Sarah and Leo, they both thought Victoria was beckoning them. Mom, you even made breakfast especially for us. Sarah was deeply touched and tried to pull Leo over. But before they could reach the table, Victoria blocked them. Mom, what are you doing? Sarah asked, confused. Victoria extended her hand towards me again. Honey, I'm coming. I immediately dashed forward and took Victoria's hand right in front of the two stunned onlookers. Turning back to see Sarah and Leo's wide eyes and gaping mouths, I beamed. Daughter, call me Dad. Let me hear it? Sarah and Leo stood frozen, mouths agape. Victoria paid them no mind, pulling me to sit at the dining table. Eat. It'll get cold and upset your stomach. The two standing figures took a full 2 minutes to process what was happening. Sarah forgot to lower her voice, shouting in disbelief. What? You when? How is this possible? On the wedding day, of course, seeing the previously smug and narcissistic Sarah now looking utterly dumbfounded, mouth wide enough to fit an egg, made me happy. Ha ha ha, serves you right for being conceited. Payback time. Mom, how could you marry him? Sarah couldn't help blurting out. Seeing my triumphant expression, she speculated with the deepest malice. He must have done it on purpose, Mom. He's doing it deliberately. Besides, there's over a decade between you. How can you be together? I admit, choosing Victoria initially had a slight element of revenge, but only slight. The bigger reason was that, as a Miller, I couldn't let the family lose face in front of so many people. People like us don't usually expect love in marriage. I chose Victoria because of her status. Besides, Victoria truly was far superior to Sarah in every way. Looks, figure, intelligence, everything. What's wrong with a decade difference? Love knows no age. I raised an eyebrow, then, right in front of Sarah, planted a kiss on Victoria's cheek. Revenge on you at the cost of marriage? Are you even worth it? Quick, good daughter, call me Dad. Or I'll have your mom replace you with another daughter, I threatened. Sarah pointed at my gloating face, fuming. Mom, aren't you going to do something about him? Hearing this, Victoria finally graced Sarah with a glance. Just as Sarah thought Victoria was about to reprimand me, Victoria affectionately ruffled my hair. How could I possibly control him? Besides, since I married Ethan, you should rightfully call him Dad. Seeing Victoria siding with me, Sarah felt incredibly wronged. Having been treated like a princess for so many years, she'd never suffered such humiliation. She immediately turned to leave. Just then, she felt her hand squeezed. It was Leo. Looking down at Leo's pitiful face, she thought, fine, for our future happiness together, I'll endure it. Dad. Sarah forced out the word through gritted teeth. Aya. My daughter is so obedient. Ha ha ha. I finally couldn't hold back my laughter, roaring with mirth. Ethan Miller. Seeing me laugh so heartily without sparing her any face, Sarah's expression darkened further. Here, Dad even prepared a red envelope for you. Completely unfazed, I cheerfully walked up to Sarah and took a few bills from my pocket, placing them in her hand. Sarah didn't even want to take it. As an heiress, she didn't lack this small amount of money. Just then, Victoria said coolly, Take it. Don't throw it away. I'll endure. Sarah accepted it through gritted teeth, feeling like she might break them. Thank you, Dad. You're welcome, I replied, flashing all 8 teeth. After dealing with her, it was the pretty boy's turn. Yo, so this is my future son-in-law? I looked Leo up and down. Although I'd seen his photo, seeing him in person now. Yeah, still not impressive. What kind of taste does Sarah have? While Leo's pretty face was indeed good-looking, pale and delicate, his body was like a bamboo stick. The greed in his eyes since entering the courtyard was impossible to hide. This guy was definitely trouble. Only a fool like Sarah, blinded by narcissism, couldn't see it and believed Leo truly loved her. Hello, my name is Leo. Leo choked, unable to bring himself to call the man standing before him, who looked about his age, Dad. Oh, Leo, right? Not bad, not bad. I didn't mind, offered a casual remark, and sat back down at the table to eat. Now it was Victoria's turn. Victoria understood immediately. She wiped her mouth. What did you come here for? Mentioning the purpose of their visit, Sarah immediately forgot her earlier humiliation. Mom, why were my cards frozen? And my cars and houses? Thinking about this, Sarah remembered trying to drive her luxury car after leaving the airport only to find she had to take a taxi all the way here. Who knows who had been in that taxi before? The stench inside made her face turn green. Why? Don't you know? Victoria's aura shifted instantly. Her tone became stern, emanating the authority of a leader. Your sudden elopement, do you realize the impact it would have on the Miller and Sterling families? Can you bear the consequences? Sarah trembled, feeling an urge to kneel and beg for forgiveness. But thinking of Leo beside her, she held back for the sake of her image. I just didn't like him. What's wrong with wanting to be with the person I love? Seeing Sarah act as if she'd done nothing wrong, I let out a cold laugh. Don't oversimplify this. It's fine if you don't like me, but we weren't together for just one day, nor was the wedding planned yesterday. If you didn't like me, you could have said so beforehand. Running away the day before the wedding without telling anyone, you trampled the Miller family's reputation into the dust. Marrying me, the sole heir of the Miller Corporation, meant Sarah gained the backing of the Miller family, which cemented her status as the Sterling heiress. Otherwise, with so many children in the Sterling family, many more capable and intelligent than her, what right did she have? After I finished speaking, Victoria looked at Sarah. Understood. Sarah stammered, unable to claim innocence anymore. Actually, she was just foolish. Having had a smooth life, everyone overlooked her mistakes because she was the Sterling heiress. This fostered a habit of acting without considering consequences, doing whatever she pleased. I know I was wrong. I won't dare do it again. You think there'll be a next time? Victoria's cold gaze swept over her. Sarah quickly corrected herself. No more next times. You want to be with him? Him naturally referred to Leo. Yes, Mom. I love him. I can't imagine a future without marrying him. I want to marry him. Sarah immediately perked up, speaking earnestly. MMS. Sterling, Sarah and I are truly in love. I really love her, Leo added, his eyes looking shyly yet suggestively at Victoria. I scoffed inwardly. As a man, I knew exactly what that look meant. This pretty boy was definitely trouble. But it wasn't my turn to act, so I kept quiet. Fine. But if you want to be with him, you must renounce your status as the Sterling heiress. Everything I've given you will be taken back. I won't support someone useless, Victoria stated calmly. Regardless of Leo's character, the Sterling heir could not marry an ordinary man, unless Sarah possessed the same capabilities as Victoria. But Sarah, in her 20s, was still as naive as a teenager. Everything she had was given by Victoria by the Sterling family. Mom! Sarah cried out in disbelief. Did she have to pay such a high price just to marry the man she loved? Sarah, Hearing Victoria's words, Leo was also shocked. This couldn't happen. He had approached Sarah, acted out a charade, all to enter the Sterling family and live a life of luxury, never worrying about money. If Sarah actually agreed, losing the houses, cars, and money, why would he stay with her? It would be better for Sarah to remain in the Sterling family. As long as he controlled her, he could get as much money as he wanted later. But before he could persuade her, Sarah lovingly grasped his hand. Don't worry, I will absolutely not let you down. She turned to Victoria. Okay, I agree. From now on, I am no longer your daughter, nor the Sterling heiress. Now I can marry Leo, right? No. Leo's heart bled, but he could only feign being touched. Sarah, you don't have to go this far for me. You are the Sterling heiress. You have a bright future. Don't try to persuade me anymore. I know what this decision means. I promise to marry you, and I will. Don't worry. We'll work hard together in the future and definitely build a good life, Sarah said affectionately. Sitting at the table, watching these two talk past each other, I couldn't hide my smile. Talking to such an idiot must be driving Leo crazy. Good. Let him taste the confusion I felt earlier. Then we won't keep you. Leave. Before Leo could talk Sarah around, Victoria issued the eviction order. Fine, leave then. Sarah's heiress temper flared, and she dragged Leo away. Once they were gone and the door closed, I finally burst out laughing until my stomach hurt. Ouch, ouch, ha ha ha. So happy. Victoria walked over helplessly and rubbed my stomach. I tilted my head back proudly. Of course, I'm happy. Did you see Sarah's face earlier? It was so dark. However, I grabbed Victoria's hand, my eyes sparkling. Are you really kicking Sarah out? She's called you Mom for so many years. Can you bear it? She's not the only one who wants to call me Mom. Victoria patted my head. Besides, she's too clueless, lacks responsibility. How can she possibly manage Sterling Corp? Exactly. She needs to experience some hardship. I nodded in strong agreement. The heiress was used to comfort, unable to accept any opposition. How could she possibly lead the Sterling Group? Victoria acted swiftly. As soon as Sarah agreed, she immediately called the Sterling family members, ordering that no one was allowed to help Sarah. Violators would face consequences. Sarah's biological parents were also disappointed in their daughter. Why did they go through so much effort to have Victoria adopt Sarah? Only for Sarah to lose her head over some man. When Sarah called her parents to borrow money, they refused without hesitation. Let the spoiled brat suffer a bit. Sarah hung up, stunned. Beside her, Leo anxiously urged, Sarah, how did it go? Did Mom and Dad agree? It's fine, I still have friends. Sarah's stubbornness kicked in. She called every friend on her contact list, ultimately borrowing only about $15,000. It sounded like a lot, but previously, she spent more than that casually. These fair-weather friends. She angrily threw her phone to the ground, shattering it. She comforted Leo, don't worry, I won't let you go back to your previous hard life. I'll find a job tomorrow. I can support you myself. Leo lowered his head silently, a flicker of something in his eyes. What he wanted was much more than just being comfortable. Never mind Sarah hitting rock bottom. Right now, Victoria and I were honeymooning in Miami. Sunshine, beach, here I come. I changed into my swim trunks and stepped out of the room. As expected, Victoria was so beautiful I couldn't take my eyes off her, didn't even want to blink. How do I look? Good? She asked proudly, twirling in front of me. Let's go play. Just as she was bouncing towards the door, I grabbed her arm. With a pull, I drew her into my embrace. What are you doing? I find Madame exceptionally beautiful like this. So, perhaps it's best we don't go out today. I wouldn't want anyone else seeing Madame like this. Then what do you want to do? Victoria's eyes darkened. What do you think? I grinned mischievously, leaning close to her ear, my breath warm. Waking up the next day, she stood before the mirror examining the marks on her body. Ethan Miller, you really are a bad man. Hehe. Women love bad boys, don't they? Miami Beach, the endless ocean merging with the blue sky, truly beautiful. Victoria sat quietly on a lounge chair watching me. When the time was right, she'd call me over to apply sunscreen, feed her fruit, and give her juice. Life couldn't get better than this. Meanwhile, Sarah was miserable. She was used to spending lavishly. Although she borrowed over $15,000 from friends and had some savings, totaling around $20,000, her uncontrolled spending depleted most of it in less than a month. Sarah still hadn't found a job. Conversely, Leo found work as a waiter, taking on the responsibility of supporting the household. Leo still clung to the hope that the Sterling family was just putting on an act to force him away, so he continued playing the role of the perfect boyfriend for Sarah. Sarah, naturally, was deeply moved and trusted him completely. She handed over the remaining few $1,000s to Leo for safekeeping and, through Leo's introduction, started working at a company. Sarah, after all, graduated from a prestigious university, so getting hired was easy enough. But Sarah was used to being arrogant. In the small company, she was just a low-level employee. Anyone could push her around, which she couldn't tolerate. 3 days into the job, she got into a fight with her supervisor. After paying several $1,000s in compensation, she was gloriously fired. Sarah, you really need to control your temper. If this continues, what will happen to us? The few $1,000s they had managed to save were gone just like that. Leo felt extremely frustrated but could only suppress his anger and patiently counsel Sarah. I didn't mean to. He kept ordering me around, making me do this and that. Sarah lowered her head, mumbling like a child caught doing wrong. After her recent experiences, she understood that without the Sterling heiress title, nobody cared about her. Only Leo still treated her the same. She couldn't lose Leo too. Sarah, I know it's not your fault, but we have no money or power. We just have to endure. Leo lowered his head, his voice choked with emotion. Maybe you should go beg Ms. Sterling? And your parents? If their hearts soften, they'll definitely let you go back. Don't worry, I will definitely do my best. Sarah's gaze became determined, but she still refused Leo's suggestion to seek help from the Sterling family. Sarah Sterling had her pride. She had made a promise to Victoria and would keep it. She would rely on herself to build a good life, not depend on others. A month later, Victoria and I returned from our honeymoon. Seeing Sarah again shocked me. Was this the same defiant heiress from before? Her hair was messy and dusty, her clothes wrinkled and dirty. She looked like a construction worker. She was holding a carton of milk and a box of pastries. What's this? Sarah knew her current appearance clashed with the opulent mansion. She scratched her head, unusually embarrassed. Don't worry, I'm not here for money. What do you mean? I frowned, not understanding immediately. I just wanted to come thank you. Sarah placed the milk and pastries on the ground, likely worried about getting dirt on me, and bowed from a distance. I stepped back startled, not daring to accept the items. Thank me? Thank me for what? For colluding with Victoria to kick her out so we could enjoy life? Had Sarah gone mad? Yes, thank you. If it weren't for what you said, I might never have experienced the happiness I feel now. Although I'm not rich like before, being with Leo makes me happy every day. The joy radiating from Sarah's face was genuine. She was truly happy. Over the past month, Sarah had gone through so much. Her first half-life, pampered by everyone, was comfortable, but now she lived miserably. She became pregnant. Leo naturally didn't want her working anymore, but she disagreed. Seeing their money dwindle, she gritted her teeth and found another job. Working in a private company, she couldn't stand the arrogant managers. Working as a waitress or dishwasher paid too little to support Leo and the unborn baby. So Sarah gritted her teeth and started washing dishes. Literally washing dishes in a restaurant. She earned $10 a day. Previously, a single drink she ordered cost 10 times that, but now she worked desperately for this meager sum. During this time, she learned how hard life was for low-level employees, something she had never understood before. Now, although it was hard and tiring, seeing the wages in her account felt fulfilling. Coming home each day to a warm meal and Leo's smile filled her heart with warmth. Was this what home felt like? Seeing the joy emanating from Sarah, I understood. I didn't expect Leo to last this long. Then Sarah dropped another bombshell. I also came to tell you, I'm pregnant. We're having a baby. I'll raise them well through my own efforts in the future. My heart skipped a beat, but my face remained impassive. As long as you're happy, Victoria and I wish you happiness. That was the sentence Sarah was waiting for. She left happily. Watching her retreating figure, I felt she was like a simpleton. Back in the villa, I told Victoria about Sarah's pregnancy and her gift of milk and pastries, asking if she wanted to try some. Victoria was also somewhat surprised and got up to make a phone call. 2 hours later, a fresh intelligence report was delivered. Victoria opened it first and scanned it. Curious, I leaned over. How is it? How is it? See for yourself. Victoria didn't say directly, just handed me the file. My curiosity piqued. I took it and scanned it from top to bottom. It detailed all of Sarah's experiences over the past 2 months. No wonder she said those strange things at the door just now. She really had gone through a lot. Previously pampered as the Sterling heiress, she now understood the harsh realities of life. Not bad progress. But seeing the next line, I raised an eyebrow, then thought back to Sarah's blissful expression. TSK, looks like she's due for another blow. Wait a bit longer, it should be soon. Victoria took the file from my hand and patted my head affectionately. Looks like you weren't as indifferent to Sarah as you pretended. The file arrived so quickly, proving Victoria had been having Sarah followed all along. No. Victoria shook her head simply. You wanted to watch the show, so she had specifically sent people to tail Sarah and Leo, ensuring I'd get the first taste of the fresh gossip. She playfully nibbled Victoria's cheek, leaving a ring of teeth marks on my face. Does it have to be nibbling? Can't I? You're all mine, she said haughtily. Of course you can. It's my honor. However, madam, if you don't mind, you could nibble a few more times. Ah, no. She leaped off me in a flash. Things unfolded just as Victoria predicted. It didn't take long, just a month. Leo sold the apartment and ran off with all the money. Sarah spent money extravagantly, so Leo suggested she entrust all the money to him for safekeeping. Sarah naturally agreed without hesitation. All the money earned from working recently was given to Leo. Sarah only kept a few $100s for pocket money. Leo left abruptly. Sarah hadn't noticed anything unusual. As usual, she got off work and returned home, only to find another group of people living in the apartment. Upon anxious inquiry, she learned the original owner had sold the place to them. Sarah collapsed despondently at a street corner, still holding the strawberries she bought for Leo on the way home. Why? Sarah didn't understand. Everything seemed fine before. Why did Leo leave? Did she do something wrong? With only a few $100s, it wasn't enough to stay even one night in this bustling city. Without a blanket or anything warm, Sarah could only curl up on a park bench, shivering in the early winter night. Freezing cold, unable to sleep, Sarah's mind replayed the events of the past 6 months. She finally believed she had been deceived. A sound that was both a laugh and a sob escaped Sarah's throat. Somehow managing to survive until dawn, Sarah dazedly stood up and headed towards the police station. She had been tricked so badly. Leo wouldn't get away with it. Just steps away from the police station, her vision went black, and she fainted. When she opened her eyes again, she saw a hospital room. She had miscarried. Awake! I stood up and poured Sarah a glass of water. Why are you here? Sarah's throat was hoarse. Seeing me was clearly a surprise. You fainted outside the police station. The police called us. I told the truth. Victoria has some things to attend to. You know how busy the company is. After drinking some water, Sarah's throat felt much better. Thank you. Don't mention it, happy to help. I waved it off nonchalantly. What are your plans now? At this question, Sarah fell silent. I took the hint. If you don't want to talk about it, fine. You're awake now, my job is done. I'm leaving. Sarah clenched her fists tighter and tighter. Just as I was about to step out of the room, Wait, Dad! I turned back in surprise. Then, with a thud, Sarah slid off the bed and knelt before me. What are you doing? I asked, feigning ignorance. I want to beg you. I was wrong before I was blind. Please, be the bigger person, help me. Getting this proud heiress to sincerely apologize wasn't easy. I felt satisfied and nodded readily. Okay. Really? Sarah seemed unprepared for my quick agreement. I raised an eyebrow disapprovingly. What's with that look? I'm very kind-hearted. With that, I pulled a piece of paper from my bag and handed it to Sarah. Here. This is why your little boyfriend left. Sarah eagerly took it, reading carefully, unwilling to miss a single word. Leo was not as sincere as he appeared. In high school, Leo hung out with delinquents, paid no attention in class, and naturally didn't get into college. So, at a young age, he had to start working. Lazy by nature, he wasn't willing to work hard for meager pay. Leo targeted Sarah, who frequented the hotel where he worked, an heiress, proud, pampered, the easiest type to fool. And indeed, Sarah was fooled by Leo. If it weren't for my unexpected appearance, disrupting Leo's plan, he would have succeeded. So that's how it was. Ha ha ha. He really treated me like a clown. Tears rolled down her cheeks one by one. She really did like Leo. Watching Sarah kneel on the floor, crying her heart out, I shook my head. Tisksking. Sigh, one should never let love cloud their judgment. As devastated as Sarah was, she bounced back just as quickly. Crying hysterically one day, the next she was suited up and heading to work at Sterling Corporation. This was naturally arranged by Victoria. However, Sarah returned to Sterling Corp not as vice president, but as a bottom-rung employee. According to Victoria, don't expect handouts. Without achievements, how can you prove your ability? How far she climbed depended on herself. Sarah, after all, graduated from a prestigious university and navigated the entry-level position smoothly. After months of tempering in the outside world, her personality visibly matured. She handled matters big and small competently. Victoria, usually intolerant of flaws, was very satisfied. Leo, after leaving Sarah, didn't fare as well as imagined. He found his former lover and shacked up with her. Initially, with money to spend, they got along relatively harmoniously. Later, when the money ran out, the woman immediately took the remaining cash and disappeared. Watching the video sent by the private investigator on my phone, I couldn't help but laugh. I showed Sarah the update on Leo's situation. Sarah was engrossed in a major project, having worked non-stop for 2 days and nights. She had previously renounced her inheritance for Leo. Even returning now, she couldn't reclaim that position. She had to compete with other heirs and heiresses. Only the most capable could climb higher. Sarah looked up from a pile of documents. Seeing Leo's name on the paper felt like looking back at a past life. Remembering the suicidal feelings she had when she first realized Leo had deceived her now seemed almost laughable. She had been too immature. But seeing Leo's current state, a hint of schadenfreude arose. Cheating someone's feelings brings bad luck for 8 lifetimes. Still, she had to thank Leo. If not for this ordeal, she might never have grown up. Sarah smiled, relieved. Thanks, Dad. You don't need to show me anything about him anymore. I don't care about him now. Well said. I gave her a thumbs up, just for calling me Dad. She deserved that thumbs up. That evening, lying in bed after washing up, I remembered the incident and told Victoria about Leo as a joke. Victoria wasn't particularly interested. If someone could fool Sarah, it was because Sarah was even more foolish. I agreed. Speaking of which, Sarah's reaction surprised me. Didn't she used to be all about lovey-dovey stuff? How did she change so fast? Looks like she's practically sworn off love and ready to become a nun. Sarah's ability to detach so quickly was unexpected. Listening to my constant chatter about Sarah, Victoria finally couldn't take it anymore. Her voice grew husky. Since my husband is so idle, why don't we do something more fun? Maybe, let's not. I have to go to the company tomorrow. Epilogue. All in all, in this farcical event where the fiancée ran off and her mother took her place, Victoria and I turned out to be surprisingly compatible, and Victoria liked me very much too. 3 years later, Victoria and I welcomed a little treasure, a daughter. Our daughter inherited Victoria's flawlessly beautiful face. This made daughter-doting Victoria hesitant to discipline the little face that looked so much like her own. But I had no such reservations. Victoria's face on our daughter didn't look out of place at all. While Victoria was usually reserved and cool, our daughter constantly tilted her little face up, acting cute, asking for hugs. Victoria rarely attended large gatherings. Even I had only seen her a handful of times. I'm super cute, okay? When our daughter got a little older, I bought her tons of little dresses. All sorts of princess gowns, cute outfits, cool ones, and even quirky ones. Suffice it to say, fashion depends on the face. Every outfit looked perfect on our daughter. She loved these pretty clothes too. Every time I bought new clothes, she'd eagerly come over and let me dress her up. Thinking about it, it was like playing dress up with a mini Victoria. Victoria found this exasperating but couldn't stop my playful antics. I also bought many matching family outfits, like cute dinosaur pajamas for all 3 of us. Seeing Victoria looking clumsy doing anything in her dinosaur PJs, if her colleagues saw this, they'd probably die laughing. Anyway, I couldn't hold it in. Ha ha ha. Stop laughing, Victoria said helplessly. Her response was met with even louder laughter from me. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ethan Miller. Victoria, embarrassed and annoyed, lunged forward and covered my mouth. Ha ha ha. Pitch. I couldn't make a sound. I report her for cheating. Just as we were lost in a kiss, a sweet, milky voice piped up from the side. I want kisses too. Looking down, it was our little treasure. Victoria and I blushed furiously with embarrassment. Kisses, our daughter, oblivious, held up her little hands for a hug. Victoria picked up the little darling. We exchanged a knowing glance and, one from the left, one from the right, planted kisses on our daughter's soft, fair cheeks.